Chapter 11. Telescope Revelations. "What makes you say that Dad's courage in Zamira could be why he's missing?" asked Zadie. "It has to do with our work together. It may be easier for me to show you," answered Prophecy. "Come with me. I will show you Zamira." Zeddy and Zadie stood and followed the crumpled professor down a few winding corridors and into a large dome-shaped room. Prophecy pressed a button on the wall, and dim lights encircling the room cast eerie shadows on the wall. Before them stood the largest telescope Zeddy had ever seen. "See this telescope? Your father and I designed it. Through this you can see worlds that could once only be imagined. I used graphene, a compound your father discovered in graphite, to build it. Graphene is 100 times tougher than steel, but no thicker than a single atom. Since it's transparent, it's the perfect viewing agent. Graphene also makes an excellent conductor for electricity. It's amazing that graphene had been hiding for so long in simple lead pencils." "But a pencil breaks so easily. How can it be stronger than steel?" "Excellent question, Zeddy. You remind me of your father, a chip off the old block. Graphene is dispersed in minute quantities throughout the layers of graphite. There is very little in one pencil, so you see, despite the durability of graphene, the other elements make up the majority of the pencil lead. It is the other elements that break," explained Prophecy kindly. "Now, let me show you Zamira." Zeddy and Zadie stood completely still as the professor punched buttons and screens and the enormous translucent telescope began to whir. Prophecy's fingers moved faster than Zeddy ever thought possible. Their amazing dexterity continued to punch buttons and slide screens faster than Zeddy could think. Finally, the professor stepped back and pressed a button that revealed a giant computer monitor hidden in the wall. "Watch the computer screen. It will take a few minutes to come up," said Prophecy. He continued to push buttons faster and faster. Zeddy and Zadie watched the screen closely, waiting for the images of Zamira to appear. First, clouds began to show up on the screen. Next, stars came into focus. The professor pushed buttons in a frenzy, almost as if he was playing a piano. The dim outlines of a planet began to spread across the screen. Suddenly, it was there before their eyes. Zamira. Black space was streaked with spinning yellow stars as the telescope stopped above one of the most beautiful things Zeddy had ever seen. Zadie took Zeddy's hand in hers, entranced by the beauty of the amazing moment they were witnessing. The planet itself appeared deep pink, like the rich red-hot pink of the sun setting over the ocean on a summer evening. It was encircled by what looked like blue and lavender clouds, streaking the blackness of space with halos of colors. Zeddy had never seen anything that could compare to its beauty. It floated in front of them, a bright mystical orb that seemed to contain all the light the universe could hold. It was amazing. "I discovered Zamira in 2075 inside the constellation Libra." Pointing, he said, "This is Zamira. It is light years away, but it seems to float right here in front of us. Doesn't it?" Prophecy asked with reverence in his voice. "I've never seen anything so amazing," Zadie whispered, almost too amazed to speak. "It feels like we could touch it," Zeddy said with awe, outstretching his free hand. "When I first discovered Zamira, I thought it was a nebula, or a dying star. You see those blue clouds that surround the planet, seeming to float freely in space. As stars die, the nuclear reactions that break the star down emit helium, which glows blue. But I felt it was something different, something amazing. I just wasn't sure what it was. After countless measurements and calculations, months spent watching its regular orbit and surface wind patterns, I knew it was a planet. I named it Zamira after my name Zachary and my mother's name Amira," the professor explained. "So does Zamira have a sun and a moon?" asked Zeddy, his eyes never leaving the screen. "It has dozens of moons, although they are much smaller than our moon. Zamira itself is somewhat smaller than Earth, but not as small as Mercury. It has 2 suns, which helps create the gorgeous glowing pink you see. After the creation of this telescope, your father and I were determined to find something important. We spent years plotting Zamira's course and cycles, but they're always different. It's as if time doesn't exist the way it does here. There are many mysteries about this planet," Prophecy said, staring at the planet with true admiration. Suddenly, the images on the screen began to slowly twist and turn. The circular planet changed into what looked like a child's drawing of a flower, semicircles connected to make a full shape. The neon pink seemed to fade into white and then into a deep royal blue. It was like looking at a gigantic eye in space. Instead of the beautiful planet they had been admiring, there was a radiant flower. Zeddy and Zadie watched in amazement. What happened? Zadie asked. That's the problem, the professor answered. I always have trouble with wimps.